Some of you may have been in this business a while, serving on your boards or prior boards. Around 2006, the legislature here in Arizona took away your right to have a lien for fines, in part because the story goes, a little old lady somewhere in the Phoenix area had her home taken away. The association foreclosed because they had fined her for not trimming the shrubs in her front yard to their liking. And ultimately, they did, in fact, foreclose for those unpaid fines. Maybe not the best use of enforcement. Now, I don't know what the shrubs look like or what the communications were like, but it made a terrible soundbite for our industry, and the legislature acted accordingly. And that was really the first step in defanging the power of fines for communities, which is why you have to look to some other options, perhaps, for enforcement. So there's no lien for fines. They've become more empty threats, although that's really the gutting of them. Owners that do some investigation at Google University will find out quickly that there's not much you can do to force them to pay those fines. The only real way that you can get a lien for fines under the laws that exist today is you levy the fines after notice and an opportunity to be heard. You then levy the fines. If they don't pay them, you can sue those owners to get a judgment for those fines. Then you record that judgment, and now you have a judgment lien for those fines that you could collect when the property sells. You can't foreclose that judgment lien, but you could sit on it and wait and hope to get paid. Now, that isn't necessarily very effective. I mean, it's not the money that you want to recover, right? You don't want to get $1,000 in fines, and you don't want to pay an attorney $2,000 to collect $1,000 in fines. If the violation is still there, you haven't done your job, right? The violation isn't fixed. The neighbors aren't happy. You haven't solved the problem in your community. Fines are never about collecting the money to begin with. Who cares whether you have a lien for it? It's the threat to try to compel the owners to comply that's important. Let me take a moment, though, to acknowledge that most owners, the vast majority of owners, do want to comply. We're talking about a very small percentage where you even end up levying fines against them. And even then, they mostly want to comply. They have some issue, it could be family issues, health issues. They could be seasonal residents who didn't get notice, whatever the case may be. They're likely, most of them that even get in the system likely will comply at some point sooner rather than later. So we're really talking about the intransigent ones, the ones that simply won't budge. One of the reasons why they may not budge is they've invested in something significant. They've built a shed or done something else that they didn't get approval for, and now they're being told they can't have it. Well, that's a problem. They're going to dig their heels in if they spend $5,000 to have a shed built on the property without approval. That's going to be a standoff, most likely.